Great. So I'll give a little bit of a bio for Nick, and then I'll invite Nick to talk about his background. So Nick Phelps is an artist, songwriter, producer, and production coach, and his music can be heard on Adobe, BET, CW, MTV, NBC, Nordstrom Rack, Paramount Plus, USA, and more. Wow, that's quite a resume. So Nick, can you give us a bit of a background as to like what led you into this path of music and production?
What led me into the sync world? Well, so I have a lot of children, and I kind of didn't want to go, I guess the artist route of like doing shows and traveling and doing all that stuff, which I was. I mean, I was on my way to having I always share the story. Reality TV show, upcoming producers, about to work with Nipsey Hussle. Was also about to go on a tour in Nashville, which was cool. I got chosen, so that was pretty cool.
That's
I never
awesome.
shared that part. But it just, all those doors closed, and I'm glad that they closed because just deep down inside for me, I just felt like I didn't want to be absent from my children that much. And I wanted to, lay that foundation for them and be around. And it's kind of hard being an artist and really juggling that, plus have a full-time job and be a husband as well. So I decided I want to find out more about this sync world and join Six Figure Songwriting, Kathy Heller's course. Signed up for that in 2018 and pretty much saw the formula. And I found out that a lot of my artist music was not in line with the formula. And so I studied the field, and pretty soon I landed my first placement within 4 months of taking
Wow.
her course and really just looking at it. That was the Nordstrom Rack one, and that was what gave me the green light that, okay, if I can land one, if it's possible with all these people in this field, it's possible. There's room, and so I just said, okay, put the gas and see what else I can do. And you know, you read the bio, and it just
Yeah.
keeps on going, which I'm still in. It's surreal for me that it's like amazing and truly a blessing that I keep landing placements. So
That's so amazing. And I think you said in the past that you actually got your first placement for Nordstrom Rack while still in Kathy Heller's course. Is
when
that
I
right?
when I landed that Nordstrom Rack placement, I was working full time, um, going to school. I was almost done with my bachelor's, so I was going to school, also doing my chaplain degree on top of that, and still, being a supportive husband because my wife was in school at the same time too. So we were
Wow.
like crazy. So really it was a great experience to really narrow down my focus and my workflow and how I work quickly. When you have a lot of children, it does allow you to figure stuff out. It was like, okay, we got to get stuff done. I can't second guess. Yeah, so I got that first placement doing all those things, all of those
That's
things.
amazing. My gosh. And that I'm going to just that segues into another question I had for you actually that I sometimes struggle with because I have two sons. So how do you carve the time, set the goals, and then go all the way through to like the finished song? How do you do that without compromising quality time with children, quality time with your wife?
Oh yeah, you lock the kids in the closet. Tell the wife I'll be back. No, I'm kidding. Um, it's so when I sit down at my workstation, I developed a system of, okay, I'm going to give myself an hour or 2 hours, and it really does help me because what's in my head what before I do a track is like I'm thinking of all the steps that it takes, right? It's like, okay, I gotta make the beat, then I know I gotta mix that bad boy, then I gotta do this. And when you start to think of it that way, you're like, crap, I just want to go take a nap. Like, I don't want to do this. So I seriously, like, okay, I have an hour and a half or 2 hours to sit down. And when I do that, it kind of frees me, because it's like 2 hours here. It's not that bad, because usually it's like, I'm going to spend 9 hours on this try. I don't feel like sitting down and spending 9 hours. But if you give yourself that mental thought, like, okay, I got 2 hours to make the most out of this. And then the next day I'll spend another 2 hours on the vocals. And then, so that's kind of how I separate it. I start doing time blocks, and just, that's what helped me, time block. Plus my wife is also a great with helping me with those time blocks. And like, you need to go to the other part. Okay, you're right, dear. But that's what really helped me, is like setting my day, 2 hours here, 2 hours there. And yeah, it helps.
Yeah. Breaking it down into manageable chunks. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. And are there any like mistakes that you made early on that you could maybe, if you've got any tips on how to avoid them, any pitfalls that maybe you, when you were starting out, you experienced that maybe you could share with the group, if you
No, I
have
don't make mistakes. What's wrong with you? Never made one mistake in my life. Crazy. Next question. Okay. Any mistakes? I would say, I don't know. I think second guessing myself too much was a huge thing that I'm kind of still, I think you're going to be overcoming that for probably forever. But I still do struggle with that, but not as much. So I wish I had the confidence back then to, I always say, get out of everybody else's head and stay in my head. Even when producing for multiple people, it's like you constantly have to figure out, okay, they hired me for this portion of the job, so they know what I'm skilled at. So why am I so paralyzed thinking if I make the wrong move, they're not going to like it? No, you got to go with your gut. So trusting my gut more is something that I wish I would have started doing early on.
Yeah.
Because when I started trusting my gut more and really leaning into my sound and leaning into what I naturally gravitate towards, that's when like I guess the floodgates of creativity started to open. Because in the sync world, you get briefs, you get reference tracks, and you can get caught up in just really trying to fine comb and really nail it right on. And then you're thinking too much of the supervisor and thinking too much of your teammate. It's like, you just got to do you. At the end of the day, you always just have to do you. I wish I would have started just really leaning into that early on.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. But I also think sometimes it comes with age as well. Because I think back, oh, if I'd have known this when I was 21, but would I have even done it when I was 21? I'm not sure I would have. So yeah, I think sometimes it just comes with that little bit more of wisdom as you get older.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So so you are an artist in your own right. So I know that you rap.
Yes.
Do you produce for different genres, or do you have like, this is your signature genre that you produce for?
No, so hip hop is my baby. Hip hop
Okay.
is my home. But I do love pop. I do I do a lot of pop music. I dabble in some R&B as well. So hip hop, pop, R&B, it's pretty much my home.
Yeah.
And I can pretty much go into those fields. I will say also I won't say a mistake, because this kind of leads back into that question that you asked before. Really sticking to what you're good at. Now, I say it's good to try different things, but at the same time, um, I well, no, sticking to what you're good at. Like it's good to spend time dabbling in other things and doing that, but building up your catalog and what you are really good at, what you work fast in, it gives you better chances of getting these placements. And I say that because I dabble in the pop. There's sometimes where somebody comes to me and is like, yo, can you do this? And I'm like, you darn right I could, if the price is right.
Yeah.
And so it's like doing that is like sometimes I set myself up not for failure, but just for a long road ahead of me of, man, this is taking a long time, but I'm learning a lot through the process.
Mhm.
But it's like I should have just maybe hired that guitar player. I should have maybe hired that string player to get this done a lot quicker. But, you know, me wanting all the funds to myself, taking 99% of everything. No, I'm kidding. You kind of, time is money, right? So it's figuring out how to spread the love and bringing on different people to fill in those tracks. Tom Crow, I see you.
Yeah, I
Tom
saw
Crow,
it.
I always go to him like, hey, yo, man, I need some more guitar on this track.
He's so good as well. As Tom Crower in the chat there saying, always hire that guitar player. That's actually quite
Yes.
true. And that kind of segues into, I was going to ask you about collaboration and the art of collaboration, and what are the pros, what are the cons, like what have you learned through the last few years on like collaborating on a project? And you just kind of mentioned, you know, spending too long and like you're using all of your time, and actually you could outsource some of that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, Sam
collaborations,
says, hire Tom.
the biggest part is having fun. I mean, it's going to translate through everything. If you're not having fun in your collaborations, then you know you should evaluate that collaboration. Like, so the biggest part is like being free and open. I love collaborating when I have the time to do it, but it's also giving each other that space and that freedom to create, but also that freedom to I don't know. Well, yeah, just that freedom to create and that freedom to be who you are within the collaboration, and stop thinking about so much what the other person is going to think. That goes into the other part that we were just talking about. It's
Yeah.
like you have to know what you bring to the table in the collaboration, which is you. Because a lot of people feel like, oh man, I gotta have the best lyrics. I gotta have the best. No, sometimes you could just bring a vibe that just really creates the atmosphere for everybody to
Yeah.
bring that creativity out of them. So it's like when you're collaborating, you just have to be you, bring what you bring to the table, that humor, that light, that love. Even if you're always funny, if you're always sad all the time, bring that to the table. We can. You're like, good day, not a good day for me. Bring it all. Yeah. So I love open collaborations where you can send me a voice memo that's sung at 3 a.m, voice all crackling. You're like, nigga, I got this idea, man. I just want to lay it down. Just let me know what you think. I'm like, I can hear the vision. I can hear the vision. So, you know, just opening that creativity
Mhm.
lane. That's what I love with collaborations.
Yeah, so true. Sam Nack said in the chat, collaboration, I've gotten placements with Nick,
My boy
Temptation Island,
Sam.
yeah, and The Biggest Loser, just two. That's amazing.
We've gotten a lot of places on Temptation Island together. Yeah, Sam, we work well together. Sam and I.
Yeah, shout out to Sam Nack, who did our first workshop last week.
Yeah.
So now we've got a bit of a background on you and like how you deal with different challenges. I'm just wondering, we've got an audience here, we've got a variety of people maybe from different levels. So I just wondered if you could just kind of give an overview of what is a DAW, a DAW, because some people may be singers and they may not produce. I just wondered if you could like just speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, dog, it's an audio, workstation, digital audio workstation. It's where you're gonna record vocals, you're gonna lay down guitar tracks, you're gonna do some drums, program drums that are inside the digital audio workstation where you can create loops, you can drag in loops. And I feel like there's no perfect DAW. I
Mhm.
honestly feel like you can make amazing music in anything. So, you know, why not just practice in? There's a lot of free DAWs as well. You got Band Lab, Cakewalk. That's all I know. But yeah, there's tons of DAWs.
Yeah.
GarageBand, yes,
Garage
GarageBand.
Band, yes. Yeah, Pro Tools first, but I think it limits you to a certain number
Yeah.
of songs. So, okay, cool. And is your DAW DAW of choice Logic? Because I think that's
Yeah, the best one.
that's one of them. Do you use different ones for different things?
No, I use Logic. I
Okay.
just and I'm always tempted to learn new things, but at the same
Mhm.
time I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that, because I'd see a lot of people using Ableton and using Studio One, and
Mhm.
I'm like, oh man, that looks so cool. But at the same time, it's like they do the same thing. You
Yeah.
just got to learn the functions of yours, and some things can do some things a little bit faster and better. Um, but I know I just learned Logic and I loved it, so I stuck with it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this my DAW of choice. Before that, I used FL Studio for a long time. Then I went over to Cubase, and
Okay.
then I just always wanted to get into the Apple world and the Mac world, because everybody's like, you got to get a Mac, you got to get a Mac, which you don't
Yeah.
need to. You don't need
You
to.
don't.
I have a lot of people crushing it with PC and Pro Tools and
Yeah.
Cubase and all that stuff. But I went to Logic, and Logic worked for me. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I love Logic.
Yeah. So find the door that works for you, the one that um takes the less time, I guess, and you can learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like three people trying to get me to switch over to Ableton. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
Rebecca's
not doing it.
yeah, Rebecca's an Ableton user, and I've learnt Pro Tools, but I've actually just invested in Logic because I bought my first MacBook. So I'm it's funny because I was going to ask you, so I learned the functions in Pro Tools, but I feel like I'm beginning again because it's a different door. And so I was
Yes.
going to ask, what did you do to, I mean, are you self-taught? What did you do to sort of learn your door? And like what resources did you access?
Yeah, I'm self-taught. I'm just the guy who goes in there, turns knobs, and try to see, okay, what does this do? What does this do? And it's funny because for some reason we think that we could break the doll, right? It's so weird. And we're all afraid to like, oh, can I really boost this? And can I mess with this EQ? Yeah, mess with everything. So yeah, I just got in there, start doing stuff, and then of course go down the YouTube rabbit holes and
Yeah.
just look and just keep on searching and learning new techniques. And at some point you have to say, I gotta try one of these things and really learn it, because you'll just keep going down the YouTube rabbit hole and keep getting discouraged.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, man, this is supposed to be helping me, but this is really discouraging me. Like, there is too much. Production is a never ending journey. All right. You have to be like, it's never ending. There's going to be so many tips and tricks and everything. And so you kind of just got to just say, all right, I'm going to roll out with what I know now and try to get
Yeah.
some songs done.
Yeah, definitely. So get messy and don't worry about breaking your door.
Exactly. Break
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah. And also, because I'm sort of in this at the moment where I'm learning Logic, and I know I can be faster in Pro Tools, but I'm trying to go down the Logic route. And it's that I get that self-talk that's like, oh, you're not fast enough, you're not doing it right. And you kind of just have to be kind to yourself when you're learning something like a new DAW, and just put the hours in as well, the practice. That's something that can, really help. So I just
Exactly.
wondered as well, do you have any, like the way that you set up in your workflow, do you have any tips and tricks to sort of like speed things up for yourself? Do you use certain equipment or certain rules that you sort of lean into?
Really no rules. I'm kind of like all over the place when it comes to, I don't know, mixing and picking
Hello?
different sounds.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Oh,
oh, we can hear you. I'm just going to mute you for now, and there'll be a chance for questions at the end. Okay.
Look at that. Look at that. I was like, you could take over right now.
Yeah.
Yes, but my whole foundation of my workflow is just creating everything within this 8-bar loop.
Yeah.
That's pretty much that's like my secret workflow. That's really not a secret. You can see it in my course, but it's like, it is an 8-bar workflow where I throw everything in the pot, and then I treat it like light, like, so I have my music and life mindset, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
literally like how I treat life. Is like, I'm not even thinking about the mixing. It's like when I'm in one section, I'm in that section. Like, okay, it's creativity. Like, I'm spending this time just building the beat, throwing everything in this 8-bar loop.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I'm worried about, um, you know, finding the sounds, putting that together. Then it goes into structure. Then I'm thinking about transitions. Then I'm thinking about, um, the top line, and then I'm laying that down, and then I'm mixing. So that's pretty much how I break my production down. I
Yeah.
feel like it frees me up, where, I'm just in the moment. I'm in this moment. I'm not worried about, because when we're creating, we can kill the creativity. Like, oh man, what should I have the intro, or how should I mix that snare in? Like, you spend so much time mixing the snare and doing all these things, tweaking the sounds, which is fun, but then you can also lose your creativity. So I'm just like, I just love throwing whatever I find in the pot, and then, what do you call that? Manipulating it. That's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So,
so cool. I have to say, I did take Nick's course, and I will talk about that in a moment, and I'll drop the link into your website in the chat. But that sort of unlocked something for me, that 8-bar rule. Something clicked when you demonstrated that, and you said, like, let's just have 8 blocks, and you fill out, I don't know, 2 minutes 30 or 3 minutes of your track, and you put everything in, and then you take certain elements away so that you can have transitions. That seemed to just, it clicked, and it made everything so much easier, because I know sometimes you've got an idea, and then looking at a blank door can be overwhelming. It is to me sometimes. But as soon as you sort of demonstrated that 8-bar rule, where you copy and paste to the end of the track, and then you take things away and add things in, that really helped me, and I started to work a lot faster after that. So that is, he's dropping knowledge bombs. Okay.
yeah. And it's like I said, it's a lot like life. I'd rather, subtract things. It's like, just throw it all in and subtract it. It's like as you get older, you start subtracting things from your life that you don't need. It's like, I really don't need that, friend. I really don't need that, so it's like, it relates. I just love that piece about subtracting things and watching it shine even more. So
Yeah. Okay, so what about in terms of your setup with like hardware? Are there any like tools that you use? So most people have a MIDI keyboard. Some people might have other MIDI controllers. What sort of things do you use for your productions?
my production, I just have, so Native Instruments is my bread and butter for software. I'm a software guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a Focusrite. I don't even know what is this? Focusrite 6i6,
Okay.
Scarlett 6i6. Yeah.
So that's your
I
audio.
have yeah. And I have a SM7B, the Shure. So I love that microphone. It's great for my voice.
Okay.
And then I have this MIDI keyboard, 32 key complete MIDI keyboard, which I have a big, I think it's 64. Is 64 keys? Is that what it is before it gets to or the
Oh,
49? I don't
I
know.
think it's 40.
It's
Yeah, 49.
49.
Yeah.
Yes.
61.
61.
Thank you,
61 there.
Michael.
Thanks. I'm throwing out just random numbers. I have a 55 keyboard.
Yeah.
61, which I honestly, like, I don't know how to play any instruments, but I can find my way and arrange things and make it sound like I know what I'm doing. But I rarely use the 61 because I'm right here in this workflow, and I'm just so used to recording MIDI and then adding the other notes in and make it
Yeah.
sound like, oh, play this lushful piano,
So
not
you
in
do
one
know how
take.
to play, really. It's just that you're thinking in terms of the contempt, like the normal route where people have had classic
Yeah.
lessons. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had no lessons. I wish I knew how to play though. I wish I can just, yeah, I wish it, but you work with what you have, right?
Yeah.
And so that's my setup, and I pretty much, for my bread and another piece of software that I use is ADSR Sample Manager. Like, I love it because it helps me to organize all of my sounds from Splice, even like stuff from Arcade that I manipulate. I can bounce that, create like a Arcade folder,
Yeah.
do my own samples, have it all in this sample manager that's free, by the way.
Yeah.
And I can pull from there, type it in, kick drum or whatever sound, and it pulls up the whole list from all of my libraries. And then I can also play like the note pitches of those different sounds. So
Yeah.
that's a huge thing that I use in my workflow.
Yeah. This is another like golden nugget that Nick teaches. It's ADSR sampler and it's free, and it helped my workflow. So if you've downloaded a sound from Splice, you can then use it across your whole keyboard in the different pitches. And yeah, you don't even have to like tag your sounds. It knows what a kick drum is. So if you type in kick drum, it'll bring up all your kick drums. Yes, thank you. It's in the chat, the ADSR sampler manager. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
I love
so
using that.
yeah, okay. So what about, so let's say there's a brief that comes along, and they give you a reference song. How do you use references? Like, what's your approach?
Oh, so my approach with the reference tracks, I'm kind of, so first I always get the tempo of the reference track. It's like, okay, if I get the tempo, I'm so close to whatever they want.
Yeah.
Get in the tempo, and then I usually start by picking apart the drums first and just like getting the groove, seeing what the kick drum is doing, and then just really listening to the vibe. And I try to create something that Tamara Bubble said that was amazing. She said she's trying to create a track that can fit if you put it on a playlist, can your song come right after the reference track? I thought that was like genius. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because we think like you try to get as close as possible to the reference track, which is great, but my whole thought process now is that, like, how can I get as close to the reference track without ripping it off, but make it sound like a different song where it can actually just fit on the same playlist as the reference track. So that's my whole thing. I'm getting the tempo first, then I'm trying to copy the drums. And then once I copy the drums, I feel like, okay, I copied what the drum pattern is doing, but then now I can kind of make it my own. So I'll just like take out some kicks. I'll change up the, when the snare hits a little bit, and then add in some percussion and kind of switch up the vibe. And then I'll bring in similar sounds and just, change up the chords and create my own vibe. It's all about catching the vibe, I think, of the reference track. Yeah.
Yeah, so important. And do you, one of the tricks that Sam Knark actually taught was, bring the reference track into your DAW. And then, you can have it as a reference visually. You can use your markers. So in your DAW or your DAW, you can actually mark certain sections out. That was something that really helped me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. And do you have any, so when you're doing your beats, do you use just a MIDI keyboard, or do you have like a machine controller? Do you have one of those?
I do have a machine controller. I was gonna lift it up here, but yeah,
Is it all plugged in? Yeah,
it's all plugged in. I have that. It's and I don't I use it, but I still tend to use the MIDI keyboard a little bit more. Is like, I got it because I wanted it to speed up my workflow, but it didn't speed it up as much as I wanted to in Logic. I will say the machine software, though, you can use the machine software without the machine hardware.
Yeah.
And using that in Logic really helped speed up my workflow, because another thing that I do, I bounce to audio very quickly. Like, I'll create my drum, my kick drum, bounce it to audio, snare, bouncing audio. Like I'm bouncing things audio very fast. So that's another thing that really helps my workflow. And then doing it within that 8-bar loop
Mhm.
is, it helps it to bounce quickly. Then you can move it around, manipulate it, and do a lot of things with the audio.
Yeah. And when you bounce to audio, you are still saving the information for your MIDI tracks, aren't you? Because that was something that I was bouncing to audio but not keeping any of the MIDI, and then I would make a mistake and I'd think, oh my gosh, I've got to go back. And it was actually you that said, make sure you keep your MIDI so it's still saved.
You save so with the instruments and the melodies, yes. Saving a separate file, just calling it that name of the song, but with MIDI information. But I will say I'm getting more bold where I'm just I'm actually like, I'm just going to audio so quickly now, where I'm not even like saving the MIDI information now. I'm just, but it comes with practice, right? You kind of like, you're in the zone. So yeah, because I look at it like back in the day, if they messed up, they were like, yo, we got to do another take.
Right.
There's no MIDI. What is MIDI?
Yeah.
This is real life right now. There's no,
Yeah.
everything's audio. Yeah, there's no such thing as MIDI. So I'm actually thinking of that. I'm like, ooh, this makes it, for me personally, it makes it more fun, because it's like, it helps me to commit faster. It frees me up where it's like, Nick, you can't be trying to do all these different takes, pretend like you were back in the day. Like, all we have is audio, brother. So let's see what you can do.
That's great. That's really confident, actually, because I'm one of those people that has like 100 different like saved versions and I very rarely go back to them either. So actually, maybe I just need to be more bold.
Interesting, right? You never really go back to them, but and to this day, you probably still have those older ones on your.
I do.
I can't, even though I have the final master, I still have mix 1 right here, just in case, for 2 years later.
Yeah, that's a point, actually. Yeah. Okay, so then, so what about, so you said that you're bolder now. So what about file organization then? Because sometimes when you're producing, hopefully this won't happen to too many people, but I don't know, something could go wrong with your computer. So what about file management, so you can pick up that last track that you're producing and just carry on? Do you have a system for your file management at all?
I'm horrible.
That's true.
I'm horrible.
That's
I'll
honest.
be very truthful. Like, I'm not as savvy as I need to be in the file organization department. And I don't know why that is. I try to, and it's like, I still like, just name a beat anything. I'm like, why did I name that beat that when I know that I'm not going to be able to find that? Or even doing the date system where it's like, you name it, what's the date? 10/19, and then you're like, I still don't know where I put that song.
I know.
So trying to get better at that is definitely something that I need to work on. But as far as like having all my stuff backed up, I have definitely got better at that. I do have a cloud backup system now, and hard drive. So I've learned my lesson with that.
So what is do you have like a piece of software that just backs up every now and again? Do you have to do that manually?
No, I have Backblaze, so it automatically is backing it up. Everything I'm doing, all the hard drives that you've connected to Backblaze, it's backing it up. Yeah, so I learned the hard way, because moving over here to Wisconsin, my external hard drive that I had so many of my sounds on and lots of different projects, it shorted out. I plugged the wrong cord into it, and it like shorted it out, and I was like, oh Lord, oh my God. This is the worst part. All right, I had to bounce stems for a project that went through all the steps, and it was like, we're ready, 3 songs, was going to send them to this big company. I did, actually, and everything worked out. So there's a great story, but I was like pleading, like, listen, I'm gonna get this worked out. I just have to send my hard drive to a shop. I sent it to the shop and they were like, you can get 80%, no, not even 80%. It was like 60% of it can be salvaged. And I was
Oh
like,
my
holy
goodness.
moly. But here's the smart thing that I did that I didn't even know I did. I plugged in a different hard drive, and I backed up all of my Logic sessions on this other hard drive that I forgot that I did.
Oh.
So thankfully, I was able to go and rebounce all of these stems for this company. You know, I did have the stem bounce on another hard drive, but I just had to put in a little extra work. And then
Mhm.
that same day, I got Backblaze, and
Yeah,
yes,
I think
so
I'm
it
gonna
can
have to
happen.
get that Blaze. Yeah,
Right.
I'm not so good with and also the file naming. It's like final number one,
Final. I
final.
promise
Really,
you,
this is
this
the
is the
final
final.
one. Yeah, I definitely need to get better at that. Um, okay. Any other like oh, one of the things that I think you talked about was organic sounds and like
Mm,
sampling things around your house. Because you can go down that rabbit hole of there's splice that you can use and there's arcade and there's hundreds and thousands of VSTs, virtual instruments that you can use, but you actually champion organic elements. So like
yeah.
what's the craziest thing that you've actually sampled?
Oh, what a great question. The craziest thing I've actually sampled. Um, Craziest thing. Well, I guess I can. So it's not the craziest thing, but I was like clicking some forks together, and my 11-year-old daughter, she was screaming in the background. She wasn't in. They weren't fighting. Surprisingly, they were having fun, laughing. And when I clicked the fork, her how I recorded it, it was like ching ching ha 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 ching. It was weird in
Oh
the
wow.
background, and I heard that faint ha, ha, and like I cut that part out and put that as like a staple sound. I I boosted the volume of it, so I chopped that part out and made it its own little piece, and still kept the forks. So that was pretty cool. It's like, and that was all. I was clicking on my iPhone, so it's like you can maneuver that and record samples anywhere. I threw my phone in a um, cereal box and just like shook it around, and like you can come up with some cool sounds. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then I will say a thing that I get that I have from Waves is I have the NS1. I think that's the
Okay.
name of the plugin. NS1. It kind of takes out the background noise. They also
Oh,
have the clarity thing now, which is more for the vocal. But
okay.
I do use like the NS1 from Waves, and it's pretty cool when I am just like sampling something off my iPhone,
Mhm.
and there's background noise that I don't want. Throw that NS1 on there and just like move the fader a little bit, and it will cut out the background so it can bring that sound more forward, and you have a cleaner sample. So I do use that a lot when I'm like
Cool.
sampling different stuff around the house.
I'm gonna have to give that a go because I wasn't brave enough to sample when I took your course. But I'm gonna give it a go actually. I'm
You see
gonna
the promo video, I sampled the chip as well. I did the little crunch of the chip, which that was pretty dope. It made for a great it was a dope sound. So it's like, biting a chip too, make anything cool.
yeah. Yeah, and then no one can come at you for saying that you're not using original samples, which is another thing as well. I mean,
Right?
yeah, so actually going on to that, how when you use something like Splice or Arcade, how do you make sure that the samples that you're using aren't too similar to how they were downloaded originally? So by that I mean anybody can use a Splice sample,
Yeah.
and how do you avoid how do you make it unique?
So how I make splice samples unique, is chopping them up, piecing them together with other splice samples, um, or building out the track first and then
Mhm.
throwing in a splice loop and then chopping it up within my production. And then sometimes simple as changing the pitch of it.
Mhm.
But this, I'm talking about percussion. For melodies,
Okay.
like melodies, a lot of times I'll just take like one piece of the sound, and then kind of play it out in a sampler like ADSR Sample
Yeah.
Manager, or even Logic has the quick sampler that you can kind of chop it up yourself and play out a melody.
Mhm.
So that's how I'm usually doing that. I'm usually changing the pitch, slowing it down, speeding it up, stuff like that.
Awesome. So you do have a course, excuse me. Um, can you talk about that and tell everybody what the name of the course is?
Name of the course is Make That Shit Modern. It is pretty much, I'm walking alongside of you how to build a track, but also we're taking a dive into, hey, what makes a track modern? What could you do to stand out? And we're following a reference track, but we're not really like recreating the reference track. We're just capturing the vibe of the reference track. And I'm breaking it down with my 8-bar system, and we're just taking it. It's an 8-week course, and we're taking it 1 week at a time, because I'm all about not trying to throw everything at you. And I'm actually purposely giving you tools to grow with. So I'm showing you like in the most basic way to use this tool so you can grow with the tool. Because the more knowledge that you grow and the more you step out the box, you're like, oh, so I can do automation this way, or I can do this bus and put this on the bus and do the sends and do this. So I'm showing you the most basic way. So that way it's like teaching you, addition and subtraction and multiplication. And then as you grow, you're gonna be like, I see how this ties in to fractions, and I see how this ties into division. I can see how this ties into trigonometry. What's another one that's a big old math thing? Calculus. Yeah.
Calculus, algebra.
I'm still just on addition and subtraction, y'all, in life,
Yeah.
and that has gotten me far. Multiplication, yes, definitely need. That's it. Division, yes, some of that.
Cool. I'm just gonna shout out your website. It's www.musicandlifemindset.com, and there you can see Nick's course. I've taken it, Rebecca's taken it. It definitely, I mean, he's dropped some knowledge bombs in here for free, which are in his course. So you guys are really lucky. Okay, so I'm going to open the floor now to some questions. So if there's anybody that would like to ask Nick anything, if you raise your hand, I'm just going to put this on gallery so I can see everyone.
I see Stephanie said, do you have to have a working knowledge of Logic before starting the course? I would say no.
No.
There's a lot of people that came in who didn't even know how to open the door. And I'm not lying. They did not know how to open the door, and they got a lot out of it. So from that, I say no.
Yeah. And also you don't have to have Logic to take Nick's course, because I followed fine in Pro Tools. So I have Joe Hogan would like to ask you a question, Nick. So I'm just asking you to unmute Joe.
What up, Joe?
Good morning, all. I call Nick my Olympic coach because he takes you to the Olympics. You think you know everything. He's the man who will refine everything to make you modern. But anyway, outside that, Nick, it's a continuing conversation I have. As you know, I am the expert now of automation. Not, but I've always struggled with my audio, just getting that balance right. So my question today is, I hear a whole lot of different things around audio. There's people who kind of go, no, don't use automation. And then other people go, no, I always use automation. And I'm kind of like trying to get my head around this discussion of automation, which I've been in for a long time. But, just getting that sound right, not too loud, not too big, automate, don't automate. I'm not quite sure what they mean by don't automate. How would you do something if you didn't automate?
Well, that's interesting, because I mean, automation can go into anything, because you can automate effects, you can automate delays coming in, you can automate reverb coming in, you can automate volume. I'm assuming we're talking about automating the volume, possibly.
Yeah. Yes, my favorite.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
So with
that kind of stuff. And sorry, one other thing, and trying to like what I've been trying to work on is picking that instrument and giving it that sparkle. So I've been trying to use automation more, to do that kind of thing, to highlight sounds and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. The key thing that I'm trying to work through is when I use gain and when I use automation, like how to sort of work those two together. That's probably the question I'm really asking. How do you use your gain and automation together? So if I've got, say, 6 up on the track or 5 up on the track for doing automation, and then I'm adding extra gain, not compression, just gain, like, is that what you do? I mean, I'm just experimenting, but
I mean, well, that's what it all comes down to. At the end of the day, it all comes down to, does it sound good? I mean, that is because audio doesn't lie. It's like audio does not lie. It's like, does it sound good? Okay, great, sounds good. So nobody cares how much you automated that thing or did not automate that thing. Now, to answer your question about the automation, I don't. Only when it comes to, is it causing a problem in the mixing, I guess, part? Like, is it going in the red or something like that when you automate? But for the simple answer of the automation is like, when you're doing automation, you're kind of giving things more of a build sometime, or you're dropping things out with automation, or you're doing designing with, a lot of orchestral work, even in trailer work, like they're automating when the riser is coming in. Like you can hear that riser, like you can hear the riser from the intro coming in all the way to the that's exaggeration, but you can hear the riser coming in, and then right when the chorus hits, that it takes off, and then they kind of do a dip with the automation. So I don't think there's any rules, honestly. Like if you're automating and it's sounding great within the perimeter of the balance and the structure and everything with the song, then automate away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you so much for the question, Joe, and thank you, Nick. And we've got Rose. I'm going to ask you to unmute. So if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Rose. Thank you. Hey, Nick, and Rebecca, and Miss Pandion. I don't know.
Sorry, Carl's. I didn't say, did I? I'm Carl's.
Thank you for creating this community. And Nick, I'm in Nick's community, but Nick, there's something you brought up that I want to do, and I was afraid to do it. Put the phone in serial and you mix, and it came out like, this is the thing is, so the sound then you put into the DAW and it comes out clear enough, like everyday sounds. That's what I was kind of asking about.
Yes, it actually it does. And again, I said I have that Waves NS1 plugin, which I think is like $29. You can slap that on the sample. So like, I think it's so cool when you use your phone, and if you can. But for me, I have the iPhone, I have the Mac, so I just airdrop the sounds to my computer, and just drag it in my DAW. And this is where ADSR sample manager comes into play, the QuickTime sampler in Logic or any type of sampler, because then you can. I like to play those sounds on my MIDI keyboard and like do different pitches with it, and kind of create a MIDI pattern with it, and then bounce that to audio. So yeah, you can do it. It comes out pretty clean.
Okay, so you're saying then once I bounce it and bring it into my DAW, I would need the NS1 plugin to kind of.
Yes and no.
I don't even know what it is.
The NS1, it's a noise reduction program that takes out like the background noise. Yeah, it takes out the background noise. But I mean, if it sounds cool when you bring it in, like sometimes you don't need it. You just got to EQ it right and like, take out some of the low end or boost some high end. Yeah. Right. So it basically goes with what sounds good to you. Like I have my Disrespectful song that's out. It's called Disrespectful. I made that beat with a box and a paper bag. No lie.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, so.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rose. Sam said, what was the noise reduction plugin? It was the NS1 from waves.com.
The NS1, yep.
That's it.
I was gonna say, I was about to say, Sam, I'm pretty sure you have that one.
Awesome. Okay, so anybody else with a question? If not, I have a question.
Yeah.
Another one. So if people sign up to the course, what happens after the course is finished? Is there any ongoing support
Yes.
available?
Well, I mean, I'm available in the Facebook world all the time. But as far as ongoing support, there is an exclusive group called Make That Shit Modern Academy that, I do have quite a bit of people in. And we still meet every Saturdays. And it's you can join that after. It's $39 a month. And yeah, we do challenges. We still have guest expert sessions. So that's the ongoing support that you can be a part of.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's it.
Awesome. So just to let everybody know, because we've got about 8 minutes until we finish, Nick has been so kind as to offer to do an Ask Me Anything thread on our Pandion Music Foundation Creators Circle Facebook group. So he's going to be answering any of your questions. So if you were too shy to put your hand up, or you think of something afterwards, you can head over there and ask Nick. And I will also drop a link in case there's anybody that doesn't know. I think I may have already done it, but I'll do it again.
Yeah. Right. And so, yes, ask me anything. That could be anything, right, Nick?
It could literally be anything. I don't care. I will answer your question or pretend like I didn't see it.
Right.
No, you can ask me
so
anything.
One of the funnest things that I do remember in your class was for like you were mentioning, you made that song with the box and the, crackling noise. And you put us all to as an experiment to go, that was our homework, to go and like make sounds and then make a song out of it. And it's still, to this day, I haven't fully produced the song, but to this day, it's like one of my favorite songs that I started that I still need to go back to. And I was thinking that should be a real thing, because that makes every song different, right? Because you're not using someone else's beat and you're creating something unique. And I think maybe that's the sound of the future. It's like we just all create really cool sounds like that.
Yeah, because when you're creating that, it's giving you, I don't know, I feel like it opens you up more, and it stops you from looking at your DAW so much for the sounds, because we could get lost, right? You have Splice, which I love Splice. You got Arcade, I love Arcade. You got Native Instrument, you got Machine, you got all these different things that are there. And I remember first starting out with music, I was so creative with I was 14. My brother brought home a Yamaha DJ-X keyboard, and you can only use six sounds, and there wasn't even any looping or anything. At least I don't think there was. Like, you had to play the drum pattern out for how long ever the song was. So I had to play it out for like 2 minutes. I'll be playing the same drum pattern, literally sitting there for 2 minutes. But I was so in love with music that I sat there that whole time. And then I figured out how to sample into that keyboard. And so I figured out how to sample into it. So I was using like different sounds from different records, and like, because I would have the microphone recorded. You can do a 2-second sample, and I would take that sample, flip it, and then I got Cool Edit Pro 2.0, which was my first, like, I don't even know if it was a DAW. I don't even know. I was recording stuff in there, manipulating stuff. And I feel like today, in today's world, there's so much out there that it's taking away from that learning process. And it's actually making, I don't know, it makes us more afraid to create and be creative, because I feel like there's so much information that it gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where when you just go at this like a kid, like, I'm about to just jump in this and do whatever and just make some stuff. I feel like we need to get back to that, because that's where the magic happens. And that's where you're going to make mistakes that you don't even know you're making. Right?
Yeah.
When
Right.
you got too much knowledge, you're like, oh man, they said I couldn't do this. Who said that though? How you know they right?
Yeah. A good point from Sherry Smith in the chat. Will there be replays? Yes, we're recording to the cloud, and the replays will be on our website, which is www.pandionmusicfoundation.org and /events, and you'll see the replays in there. Okay, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to Nick and every one of you for coming along. Please do share our resources, invite friends into our Facebook group. We welcome everybody. And do make use of the Ask Me Anything thread that Nick's going to be a part of for the next 2 days. And I just wanted to also say I see a lot of familiar faces from the Syncathon. It was an event that we had late September. And I just want to say to anybody that donated to that, thank you so much. It means the world to us because it means that we can do things like this. And if you've enjoyed today, please do check out our Facebook group because we'll be posting in there about future events. And the next event is next week. It's a music supervisor called Margaret Yen. So she'll be sharing her background and all things sync.
Yeah, she comes from a world of like, she's been one of those early music supervisors who's worked with so many different artists and worked with a lot of the greats. And she will not be giving a listening session. However, she will be like Nick, giving all her inner secrets and just chatting with us. So it's going to be a lot of fun coming from that point of view. So totally tune in. She's also a good friend of mine, by the way. But yeah, we love Margaret.
Yeah. And yeah, so I'm just going to drop a link in if you've enjoyed this session and you do want to donate. I'm just going to pop the link in. And yeah, also in our events section of our webpage, we'll be posting month to month who we've got in weekly. So yeah, do share, and thank you so much to Nick for being our guest for our second workshop.
Hey,
let's give everyone Nick a big hand.
Let's unmute so we can hear everybody. Hold on, let me
yeah, that's great.
Here.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Nick.
Woohoo! Do it in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate all of you.
Awesome.
There's a lot of love in the room. And yeah, and Pandion is really here for you. This is a community. This is for you. We made this in the thought of like, we want to share and have a platform and a place where you could just find everything out and ask questions. And like Carly said, Nick will be giving 48 hours of Ask Me Anything, but also Pandion, at any point you can always ask us anything. Even if we don't have the information right up front, we can get legal advice, we can get all kinds of stuff. So just remember that.
Yeah.
So we're so happy to have you.
That's it. Okay, thank you so much. And please do join us for our upcoming events. And thank you so much.
Thank
you. Thank you. Hand claps to you all, this community. Thank you.
Thank you. And do share.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.